Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in.
My name is Serge.
And my name is Claude, and this is Wellbeing Makes Sense.
So today we're gonna talk about a very, very important topic that many people may dismiss as trivial. We're gonna talk about making good decisions. So we're gonna talk about the art of making good decisions. This title just came in. So, and in this, we're gonna talk about 7 steps to making good decisions. Now, we all make decisions every single day. And this is why people tend to trivialize good decisions making. So, and unfortunately, many of us end up in bad situation because of the bad decisions that we made in life. So this is why we want to tackle this topic. We're gonna do a 3-part series on this topic. So today we are talking first about
The 7 steps of making good decisions.
next week we'll be talking about setting goals for yourself. And the last part will be how to deal with
Bad decisions.
and failures. So stay tuned.
So, what makes a decision difficult or challenging? So we did some research, and we found 5 most common reasons, and we want to break them down. But they are uncertainty, how complex is the issue at hand, are there high risk consequences you might face, maybe there's alternatives, too much alternatives, and interpersonal issues facing the decision making process.
So what is uncertainty? It's basically when you don't know, when you don't have all the facts. That's what uncertainty is, you know. We are making hundreds of decisions, I mean thousands of decisions in our lives. Some are big, some are small. And when we are making the big decisions, we need to have all the facts. But most of the time we don't. And that's one of the reasons why decisions can be very difficult, can be very challenging. What can you say about complexity?
Complexity. It can be a life or death decision. If you're dealing with financial, it can be dealing with decisions. You know, are you willing to risk thousands, millions of dollars, and based on one decision, one person making that decision, or a whole group? It can be, you know, is there someone or a part of your business that's gonna be hurt? So that's where the complexity lay.
Okay. Number 3, the decision may be may have high risk consequences. You know, just like we said, some decisions are it's a situation of life and death. You know, so the consequence based on what you the decision that you make can break it or make it strive. So when the consequences are that high, then that make the decisions very difficult, very challenging. So you need to be aware of that.
So number 4 is alternatives.
So
Give us an example.
So basically, alternative is when you have many options. For example, the stock market. You want to invest your money, and you have many stock to look at, and they are going up and down. So which one of them you're gonna invest in? So that would be an example of multiple alternatives that you have. So that's going to be a very difficult and challenging decision.
And the last one we mentioned was interpersonal issues. It's basically once the decision is made, or is you're in the process of making a decision, you got to think about who that will affect. You know, your family, your company, you know, your staff, anybody around you that's going to be affected. You got to take that into consideration as well.
So you can't be selfish in making decisions. You can't be just looking at yourself. So you got to consider other people around you and look how this will impact them as well. So,
our decision based on logic or emotions?
I'm supposed to ask you this question.
That's okay. You did the research.
So, go ahead.
Take 2. So, part 2 of our discussion is we're need to discuss logic versus emotions. Are decisions based more on logic or emotions?
Well, first, what is logic? Logic is when you have arguments, when you have facts, when you have data, and you're processing these data and make your decisions based on them. So that's logic. And what is emotion? Emotion is how you feel about something. The way that thing will impact you. Will that thing make you feel good or feel bad? So that's emotions. And many of us here would like to think that we make decisions based on logic. If I ask any of you here, what's the most important factor for you to make decisions, is you'll say logic. I'm a reasonable person. That's what you'll tell me. But research has found that we don't actually make our decisions based on logic. We don't. We do the logic, we have the arguments, but at the end of the day, our decisions are made based on feelings.
Majority of people's decision based on feelings.
Well, it's broader than we think.
Yeah.
Because when say majority, everybody will think of themselves as the minority. Because that's the conception that we have of ourselves. We all like to think that we are reasonable persons. But we are not. We make most of our decisions based on feelings, based on emotions. And I'm going to give you examples because this is a very important thing that it's a very important tool that people use a lot. For example, the big companies, they know that. Marketers, they know that. A year ago, I would think that most of us make decisions based on logic. But when I started reading, especially reading about marketing and these kind of things, that's when I realized that the decisions, they all make the argument that we make decisions based on emotions. So when you're watching that commercial by the fast food company, they show you that burger. They don't tell you what vitamins are in that burger. They don't tell you how many minerals you're going to get from that burger. They don't tell you these things. These are facts. These are facts that you should use to make decisions on what you eat and to choose what to eat and what not to eat. So you should base your decision based on how healthy the food is to make that decision. But they don't give you these facts in the commercial. What they tell you is, what they show you is the juicy,
yes,
large, juicy burger, and how tasty it is. What is taste? Taste is a feeling. And you go to that fast food, that's what you eat. They know you're going to buy into it because you're going to try to satisfy your senses. You have that emotion to satisfy. So you're gonna go to that restaurant, you're gonna see that healthy food, you're gonna see a healthy restaurant and a fast food, you're gonna go for the fast food most of the time because These big companies, they play on your emotions.
All right. We spoke about the challenges of decision making, which and also give you a little bit about logic versus emotion. Now we're gonna give you the 7 steps we've tallied for you about systemic approach of making good decisions.
Step 1, create a constructive environment.
How do we do that?
So when talking about the constructive environment, you need to think about the people surrounding you. You need to have a circle of friends and people you can trust, you can talk to. It doesn't have to be many. Depend of what the environment you are in, who you can gather around to talk to. You need to be able to talk to people about your issues and the decisions that you are facing, the choices that you are facing. Now, to say, many of us here have, we consider ourselves that we have a lot of friends, but many of us don't have real friends. We have fans, not friends. There's a big difference that a fan will support you whatever decision you make. The fans are like yes sayers. Any idea you come with, do I want to do this, is that, yes, go ahead, I'm with you. But the friend will tell it to you like it is. And unfortunately, most of us don't like people telling them the negative part of their decisions. And this is where we need to be very careful, right? You need to be able to accept people in your life that will tell you that what you are doing is not good. Most of us, when somebody, they'll go to somebody asking for advice, and if they don't like the advice, they never go back to that person. They'll never go back to that person. They will go look for the person who will tell them, yes, it's a good thing to do, go for it. No, you need to have some people who can tell it to you like it is. Some people who will tell you, that's a bad decision, this is where you are going wrong. So make sure you have a constructive environment.
And number 2, acknowledging your biases and prejudice. And it's also, I think you can put that into emotion as well. Figure out the kind of person you are. Why are you more leaning toward something toward decision A versus B? And so your interpersonal your personal issues, your interpersonal situation also may play a role. So you got to know about the biases that are coming into play, the prejudice that you hold that's making you go toward A, not B or C.
And we all have prejudices. We all are biased people. And I know that's another misconception that we all have. You ask anybody, are you a biased person? No, I am not. I am very neutral. I'm not a biased person. But in fact, we all have biases. We are all biased people. The difference that we have biases toward different things. The biases that I have are not the same that my wife has. But we are all biased people. So you need to recognize that.
So that's where, right, the facts and logic come into play.
Exactly. So you need to separate that and try to focus on the logic part of things.
And number 3, investigate the situation in detail. So it's all about the uncertainty part, Take time. Do you have to make the decision right away? Again, emotion takes precedent. So you got to take time. You got to be patient. You got to do your researches. Again, if you're focused on A, know A, well, you need to know B. Why you're not choosing B? What are the pros and cons of B and C and so forth? So that's where you need to investigate the situation in detail, and it takes time. It takes patience.
So this is where again the circle of friends come into play. All these steps basically they are all interrelated. So when you're investigating the situation, you get a chance to talk to people who would make you see different angle of the situation. So you gather more data so that you can make a better decision.
Number 4, explore your options, looking at the pros and cons. And I feel like it's the same thing a bit. It piggybacks based on also on investigating the situation in details. All right.
Yeah, so and what I would advise that you make a list. You know, maybe you have 2 columns. You put your the decisions that you have. You list each decision, each option, I should say. You list each options, and then you look at the pro. This is the pro. This is the con. So now you're really getting very practical here, where you're having a map where you can list the pros and the cons so that you can look at them in detail. And 5, basically that's the result of number 4.
Yes.
So once you have that list, the pros and the cons, then you can make a selection. You can select the best decision that is based on facts, that is based on logic and not on emotions.
Yes.
And number 6, what do we have?
Evaluate your plan.
Now, making a decision is one thing. Now you are getting into executing. Put that decisions into practice. So you need to have a plan. You know, you can have the best decision, but have a plan that is not going to allow you to reach that decision. So you need, or you can make the best decision, but not be in a position to reach, to accomplish it. So, and this is one of the things that we'll probably go in more detail in our next video when talking about setting goals. You know, talking about realistic goals. And do you have a plan that can allow you to reach that goal? So we'll go into more detail about this in our next episode.
Well, another thing that came to me when you said that, evaluating your plan. So once you execute it, you know, check on it a few times, weekly, daily, whatever the decision you're making. You know, am I heading the right decision, the right direction with the decision I'm making? So because when someone is sick in the hospital, we do like this check. You know, we check them like every 1 hour, every 2 hours, 3 hours, because we're making sure that what we're doing for them is working. And it's the same thing as your decision-making process. Once you make it, you execute it, you need to, on a regular basis, go back, evaluate, make sure this was the correct one, and you're heading the right track. You know, you set your goal, are you heading toward the right goal?
And the 7 step, communicate your decisions and take action. Communicate your decisions is that all the parties involved in it, you let them know this is what you're going for. This is what you want. This is the decision. This is what it is based on. That's what I'm going for. And you start taking action.
Yes.
Having a decision and not taking action is nothing.
Yes.
And which is one of the things that we do very often, you know. Make that decision, New Year's resolution. No, I'm gonna go to the gym. And then what happened? Go for a couple of days and then it's done. So you need to take action. Decision without action is nothing. It's just dead. Right? So let's recap 7 steps, a systematic approach for making good decisions. You need 7 steps to do that. Number 1 is
creative or constructive environment.
And number 2 is acknowledge your biases, your prejudices, your feelings, your emotions. Number 3 is
investigate. Take the time and know what you're dealing with, you know, in detail.
And number 4 is explore your options. Make a list. Put all your decisions, all your options, and look at the pros and the cons for each one of them.
So once you have that list, then it's time to select the best decision.
Which is number 5. And number 6 is evaluate your plan. Now you start looking at the plan, see if that's something that you can actually reach. That's something that you can actually do. And the last...
Once you made that decision, you need to discuss it with the other people around you, the environment, your company, whatever, that will be affected. So communication.
And take action. So that's all for today. So our next episode we'll talk about setting goals for yourself, realistic goals for your life, and the third part will be dealing with failures. How do we handle failures? So please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to our channel. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, Wellbeing Makes Sense, and click on the like button and on the subscribe button.
Share if you like.
And remember to check the C.E.Y.A.T Foundation.
Yes, we have a Facebook page as well as a YouTube page. So C.E.Y.A.T, C.E.Y.A.T Foundation Incorporated. Thank you for your support.
And remember to get a copy of my book, From Man to Dad, at www.extraordinarydaddy.com. So, see you.
Bye.